Dun, 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 dun. Every time I do this podcast, because in my head the song is The Dumbest Timeline, but to that song. The dumbest timeline. But I can't license that song, so I'm not allowed to use it. But
no, you can't.
I know. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brian Holiday, and I know that probably sounded exactly like my radio voice, and it's so unprofessional sometimes to just fall into it. But especially because I'm here with a friend, someone that I've known for, we just went over it, 23 years. We've known each other. Folks, Angela, I'm so happy to have you on the show. For anyone who knows or who doesn't know, if this is your first episode, this is The Dumbest Timeline, and we always try and discuss something that makes us think we live in the dumbest timeline, because as I always say, we don't live in the darkest one, we live in the dumbest one.
Hi, Brian. Thank you
How
for
you
having
doing?
me. I'm good. I'm super excited to be here. I'm excited to be here, but then at the same time, I'm like, 23 years? When did that happen? Is what I'm thinking. But aside from that, but you know what? Whatever. I think we're doing great. We look great.
I was gonna say,
I think we look the same as we did in college when we met.
Yo, if anyone is watching this, if anyone knows that she looks exactly the same. I remember the first time I bumped into you, when we bumped into each other in Uptown, and I saw you, and there was a split second of like, no, it can't be her, because I know her more from when we were living in the suburbs at the same time. And then also, like, she looks exactly the same, and it's been a couple years, so I'm thinking, like, you should look a little older, but
no, I'm doing good.
Girl, the exact same. Kudos.
You know what they say about not cracking.
I know. I love it. Yeah, I'm so happy to speak with you. I think I'm really excited. You know, you're one of the people that I think we both feel that we live in a relatively, unfortunately, dumb timeline.
It's beyond. I feel like every single day there's something that I see, and when I post the stupidity on my Instagram page, it's a habit now. I put on the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song,
right?
Because I'm like, it's beyond at this point. It's just every time I read things, I'm like, there's no way that this is real life.
Right.
And as every day passes by, I'm like, I feel sometimes I'm constantly saying, I'm the Twilight Zone, or is it Candid Camera for all you 80s ladies? What is happening right now? Someone pull the curtain. Something's happening. Like, it's just beyond stupidity at this point. It's laughable, really.
It is, and that's one of the things. One of my buddies and I, whenever we talk about this stuff, the main joke we have is you gotta laugh, because
you have to, because if not, you're gonna go crazy.
Exactly.
It's just too much at this point. You gotta laugh about it.
You have to. So with that said, I think we're gonna go to the one that we're gonna laugh about this week. And
let's do it.
Do you want to introduce it? Do you want to?
Yeah. So there's, for anyone who watches The Daily Show, or even if you don't watch The Daily Show, you can actually just go on their Instagram page, and there's this gentleman, which now his name is escaping me. He does these hilarious interviews, and for the past couple of years, I mean, Trump has given us so much to laugh about.
Oh my God.
A lot to cry about, but a lot to laugh about, and his followers are just another level. So he goes out, and there's like a MAGA rally.
Jordan Kepler, by the way.
Thank you. Exactly, Jordan Kepler. So he goes out, and he asks this lady, who at first I'm like, from the side, you're like, oh, she's like a hippie lady, like something. Right. And then to play it.
All right, let's hear. Let's play the clip, folks.
Everything's coded, and I've been learning gematria. So,
what's gematria?
Can I pull my phone out for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so it's called a gematria, and it's a calculator.
Gematria is a mystic numerological key and an app which allows believers to type in words and get back meaningful numbers.
You type it in the calculator, you get these numbers. And so Michael Jackson's last concert was "This Is It." Comes to 113.
You know what that means? Do you? I don't know what that means.
So 113 means not true.
Right. So Michael Jackson, that wasn't his last concert.
And he's alive.
Michael Jackson's alive. People are talking. Is Bin Laden still alive?
Tim.
There you go.
Are you doing math right now?
No, I'm trying to remember his real name. Tim.
Osama Bin Laden.
Yeah, Tim. Someone. I forgot his last name.
Tim is not the most Saudi name.
I'm gonna.
Tim.
I had to stop there, because that's the part where I really it started to devolve into And like you said, because I don't want to consider that this person is crazy. I think
Nope.
if anything, it's this person is misinformed,
Yep.
and 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 I don't feel that they've, because there's a lot of conversations about people doing research, quote unquote, and that
I mean, like, I feel like we need to define research at this point in time in
right
2022. Not everyone's doing the same type of research. You and I don't do
exactly.
the same type of research than Gematria lady over here.
Yeah. Like if I'm gonna if someone sent me a video that started to say that Osama bin Laden's real name is Tim
Tim.
whatever, I would be like,
And also, out of all the names that Osama bin Laden could have, Tim, I really feel like is not like we could have even gone with like a Jordan or something a
right,
little more right. Tim is the one
Tim,
we're gonna go with.
classic, good
Classic.
old Timmy boy.
Timmy boy.
Like
Who was in the CIA.
right. He used to play at the country club with the boys. It's Tim.
It's Tim bin Laden. Tim bin Laden in the CIA playing golf with the boys is what he's doing.
So
I don't know.
conspiracy theories. I mean, we start off with just this numerology, but that even the idea that this person had about the fact that Osama bin Laden was actually a CIA agent named Tim.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is like these people genuinely believe this stuff.
Yeah. But they genuinely believe it, but let's not forget that all of this is also tied to, when the insurrection happened and how people were when that happened, like the QAnon stuff, like all of this is sort of interconnected. But let's not forget how shocked they were when President Biden actually got sworn in.
Right.
A lot of them, their life came crashing down.
Right.
Because they thought that wasn't going to happen. They thought that Trump was going to be like stopping all of this, and clearly that didn't happen.
And do you remember that some of them thought that in August he was actually going to go back into office?
Yes, correct. Yeah, 100%. And they truly believe it. And obviously we only have 20-something minutes, but you can go online and there's a whole bunch of interviews with people who had like fully sane siblings or whatever who started believing this, and they're lost in that now. They're in conspiracy theory land, and these are very sane, smart people who all of a sudden are in this world. I mean, in the depths of despair of the internet, and this is what's happened. So, yeah,
I always try. And often my friends will laugh at me because, and I said this in the first episode, I do a lot of this devil's advocate thing where I try and give people a chance.
Benefit of the doubt. And
chance. Because my idea is that there is a root to why someone would want to believe this. And it's not necessarily that the thing they believe makes sense to them, but they have such a want to believe this thing. For example, with the Trump thing, they want to believe that he was going to fix everything because they don't like the idea of following a leader that they don't believe in or trust. And they don't follow or believe in Biden. So to them, they held on to that little seed of an idea that, well, this is the party we trust, and this is the party that's going to lead us. So we're going to hold on to that idea. And when other people start feeding them these ideas that like, well, did you know he's going to come back? They have a reason to hope. So they start latching onto those ideas. But even then, it's just like, but you've been living in the United States your entire life. And the political system has never played out this way ever. At least, sorry.
But that just goes to show how deep they are in their beliefs. But I think that I feel like it sort of comes also from a place of, I'm going to try to tie this all together, but like, there's a reason why Trump was elected. It's because at the core, there was a problem to begin with. Right. There's a problem to begin with. And then this person comes along and empowers these people, and he knows what he was doing. So what I'm trying to say is that I feel like it's almost like religion as well, where when you're not in a good space and you're trying to hold on to something, and someone comes in with a story that gives you some kind of hope or something, then you latch onto this, and then you run with it no matter what it looks like, no matter how crazy it sounds. And if you're surrounded by people who just believe in this 24/7, you're like, this totally makes sense.
This makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I'm on a Facebook group with 100,000 other people who believe the same thing. We
Yeah,
can't all
they
be
can't
wrong.
be wrong. We can't
Right.
all be wrong.
We can't
right?
all be wrong.
It's like, why does the flat earthers society still exist?
Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I think we covered that already. I
Yeah.
think we covered that we're not going to fall off. You know, if we were in the 1400s, okay, I get it. We don't
Right.
know. We haven't been there yet. Right. But that's not the case today. So I just, again, if you have enough people believing all kinds of can I swear on this podcast?
Of course you can.
All kinds of crazy ass shit, then right? Then that's what happens. And when people are not doing well and people don't have jobs and don't have all kinds of things, and then they have extra time and they're on the internet doing all kinds of things, this is what happens.
Yeah. Last week when I posted to my stories asking listeners what they thought what is something that makes them believe we live in the dumbest timeline. One person wrote, and I think I mentioned it last week also, one person wrote that we used to believe in science. We used to only live to 30, and then modern science came along and gave us opportunities to live much longer. Why did we stop believing in science? And I thought that was a very fair question, because I feel like it also leads into a lot of the things we're talking about right now, where people start to latch on to the things that make them feel the most comfortable. And sometimes the scientists giving them hard facts about a situation doesn't comfort them as much as the people around them who are saying the things that they want to hear. And that led us.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
No, but that was pretty much the end of it. It's just like I've heard people refer to it as the anti-intellectualism of the world, because we're moving away from trusting people that originally, because I remember when I was a kid, you getting an education and being educated and going on to be a scientist who did research was an admirable thing, and we were taught to not necessarily just trust, because you can question, but a good scientist will say, yes, you're right, you can question that. Here's the research that I did with the evidence that shows, peer reviewed by other people, that you also can question and trust.
Yeah, but I think that people also need to not everyone, obviously, but I think that a lot of people also need to believe in like mystical, magical things.
Yeah.
And the reality and the truth of it is that no one knows. We have science, but even with science, we know science. I believe in science. I 100% believe in science.
Yeah.
I also believe in magical, mystical things. I'm also not fucking crazy, right? So I believe magical, mystical things, and I believe in a lot of actual magical, mystical things. But I also believe in science. I believe in the dinosaurs. I believe in all of those things, right? Like hashtag Triceratops for life.
Believing in the mysticism doesn't take away from your ability to believe in the science.
Correct. I think that they're both, together, two things that could live together. But then also at the same time, when I think of science, even science is good as like what we know right now.
Right.
In 50 years from now, we might be like, oh, what were we even thinking then?
Right.
So I don't know if some of these people are playing on that, where things, right? Like I wonder, because none of my friends are like these people. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to preface, I mean, I probably should have prefaced it at the top of the show, but Angela and I are two I would say relatively well-educated people who are trying to assess understanding and I'm not trying to judge people. I'm trying to understand why someone would think the way they do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so I think that there's, I mean, are they playing on that a little bit? Maybe. And I think there's also the fact that at the end of the day, no matter how much science we have, there will maybe not always, but I feel like there will always be until the aliens come and rescue us. That's what I'm waiting for at this point every day. I'm like, today's the day where they're going to come. They're going to come in and they're going to save us because shit's going down. But I really think that we don't know the truth.
Right.
Right? No one's ever died and come back after, I mean, aside from Jesus, and that's a whole other episode.
Really,
invite me back for that one so we can have that. But really, like, no one's ever died and come back and said, you know what, I died, and actually this is true, and this is not, which makes it difficult then to have arguments or have calm conversations with these people when the reality is we don't have the full truth. So and I don't know how much time we have left, but I wanted to do a quick
We have about
little
6 minutes.
parentheses and a little quick thing. But
Yeah.
like you have this wonderful podcast, and I started interviewing people for a show that I'm doing or whatever. And I'm interviewing people who have like out of the ordinary jobs or things like that. And I interviewed a guy who is part of what is considered to be a cult.
Mm.
And it's called the Raelians, or in
Yes.
French, the Raeliens. And basically their belief is simple. They believe that aliens came and put life here on Earth and that they're going to come back one day. So the goal of the people that are part of this cult are two things. It's spread the news, just like people believe in Jesus. A lot of, they go out and they're like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And so they go out and they're like, Rael, 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 whatever. And the Elohim is the name of the aliens. They're going to come back one day. So that's number one. And the second goal is to build an embassy with a landing strip for the craft, the alien craft, right? And they have the funding. They have millions of dollars they have, and they're just trying to get all the legalities ready. Like, this is a real solid thing. And by the way, like, a cult, the difference between a cult and a religion is 100 years.
Yes,
that's what the difference is.
I've
all
heard that.
Religions were cults at one point, and if it sticks around long enough, it ends up becoming a religion because you get more followers and yada yada yada. Right. So all of it, like that was the same for, again, all religions were cults at one point. So that's what they believe. Honestly, when I take a look at what they believe in, who am I to say that that's not true?
Right.
Who am I to say that that's not true? So these Trump believers, this is gematria. I mean, if you watch the whole clip, because I took some notes, like Michael Jackson's last concert was "This Is It." That's 113. 113 means not true.
Right.
And there you go. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I think it would be really funny if we were to all die, and then it'd be like gematria 2 seconds before we died.
Right.
And it'd be like, oh shit, gematria was true. I don't know.
And that's the thing. That's the whole thing when it comes down to all the religion and stuff like that. It's there's so many points where you look at what someone believes and you think to yourself that, like, you have these moments of, come on, man. How does this make sense to you?
Faith. It all comes down to faith and what you believe in. Because when we open up the Bible, when we're looking at these things, I mean, again, we're not here to talk about religion, but if you open up the Bible, there's some pretty crazy stories in there. Right. And I'm not here to tell someone who believes in that's crazy. So the question is, what's the difference between gematria and believing that, someone split the sea in two?
Especially funny enough, did you know that gematria is based in Hebrew?
Yes, I know. So I don't know, but then there's just so many crazy conspiracy theories out there. And again, like the Trump stuff, I feel like you have like conspiracy theories. Right. And sometimes I'm like, oh, there could be a little truth in this or this or that. But when it comes to Trump stuff, I feel like it's so fucking wild and out there that I'm like, there's no, like, I'll believe in Roswell and Area 50 whatever, is it 52, 42, 51, thank you. Right. I mean, I get in my numbers. I'll believe in all of that before I believe in what these people are saying. And maybe it's because of their general, the way that maybe it's, you know what? Maybe if it was a scholar that was like, came up and be like, so when we take a look at gematria and the history of the world, if we assign numbers, then it feels more, but they're just so out there.
And that's the thing for me, because anytime I've tried to have a conversation with someone who is more leaning towards very conservative point of views, and anyone who knows me knows that I will go into the conversation with a complete and honest, open mind. I will listen to everything you have to say, but I will, much like you would like to challenge the scientist, I will ask you questions that will challenge the basis of the things you're trying to say to me. And 95 to 99% of the time, the reaction is such a negative, aggressive,
defensive. Why are you attacking me?
Right.
And you can poke holes in their theories very quickly. Right. You can't really poke you can't poke many holes in science. Like, science is a robust, mathematical, all those things. But even
if you do poke a hole in a scientist's research, what does the scientist say? I'll go back to the drawing book and I'll
Bart-
try to prove it again. Whereas when you're having the
100%.
conversation with someone on, and of course, I know having the conversation with someone online is probably the worst case. That's why whenever I find someone who seems ready to have a genuine conversation, I always try and talk to them. Sometimes I even ask them, would you be willing to DM so I could have this conversation outside of a public forum? Because I know that a public forum lends itself to a lot of reaction. Exactly. A lot of piling on comments and stuff like that. And, maybe the one or two times I've had people actually take me up on it and we start to discuss, it still ends up turning into, well, you're just playing devil's advocate. And I was like, yes, that's the whole point. I don't necessarily agree with the things you're saying, but I want to understand the core belief of it so that I can at least say, okay, the reason you think X is because of this thing. So when I hear other people laughing at it, I can be like, well, guys, if we're being fair though, this X route that as to why they believe in it is a fair thing for me to also like. I get why this thing concerns them. I don't understand. I don't necessarily agree with how they approach it or how they build around the idea, but I understand where that either potential fear, potential need for comfort, potential need for faith, for something to fill that spot where they're feeling lost.
Yeah, but I think also to come back to what you were saying about poking holes, what we were both saying, I feel like when people believe, not everyone, but the people that I've encountered that believe in conspiracy theories, when you start poking, you don't have to poke too deep. You don't have to scratch too deep. It's usually like thick here on the top and empty all
surface.
Over
here.
It's
all surface.
It's all surface, and that's where they get offended. And that's where they get defensive and they get upset because it's based on nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And so the moment you start questioning, they probably get upset because they don't have the answers.
Yeah, they don't have the foundation to support.
They don't have the foundation to support, right? And so they get very like, oh, whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, okay, well, you wouldn't act like that if you had a full solid base, right? You'd come in and you would have all the answers, or you would say, you know what, let me look into that. I'll get back to you. But they don't. So to me, that indicates that there's a flaw there.
Yeah. And I've even said to people, by all means, I'm asking this question about this thing. If you don't feel you have the answer right now, I'm more than happy for you to go and find out. And there, again, almost 95 to 99% of the time, their response is do your own research.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to do you're the expert. Clearly.
Yeah.
You're out there spewing this shit all over the place.
Yeah, like
so you tell me, you educate me. You are my source.
Right.
I'm not going to go on the internet. I'm going to go to you because you believe in it. Clearly, you believe in it enough to go online and argue with people. So please educate me. Yeah. Please educate me.
And again, and again, I'm not trying to poke the holes because I want to watch you trip up.
No, it's because you want to understand.
We are the red team. You're the journalist. You're doing the research. And as the red team, we are supposed to try and rip the story apart before you publish. And that's what we're doing.
Right. And you know what? I think you and I are both the same. I'm the type of person that if you show me the proof and the things, I am the first one. Yeah, I'm the first one to say, you know what, I was wrong on that one. Or I'm the first one to say, that is not my belief.
Right.
But I understand.
Exactly.
I understand and I see how that makes sense, and you've shown me all the things.
Yeah.
But I feel I feel like when you are on the conspiracy side, there's a lot of fucking anger and a lot of whatever. If the people on the other side are super chill, they're like, just explain it to me.
Yeah. We're
right?
here to listen.
Super relaxed.
Angela, this has been so much fun. I knew this was going to be a conversation I want to have for hours and hours, but as we know, we live in a world. We live in the craziest and dumbest timeline.
The dumbest timeline where people. I'm gonna end on one thing. There's a movie that I know you've seen. Is it called Idiocracy?
Oh, love it. Yes.
And I watched it a year or two ago again because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And with COVID and everything, I'm like, this has got to be the dumbest timeline. And now the funny part is that when I watch it, I'm like, we're not that far off.
I know.
We're not that far off. So if anyone wants to compliment this podcast, go watch Idiocracy.
100%. I love that film. I think it's so funny. Dax Shepard.
Yes.
Luke Wilson.
Yeah, it's Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Luke
And Maya
Wilson.
Rudolph. Yeah. Great. I
mean, good for you. That's exactly it.
I love that cast. They're so good. Angela, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
And do you?
My pleasure.
Well, I know you said you're working on your project. Do you want to announce anything or where people can?
I could. You know what? I could announce it. So everyone, if you're interested, you can follow me at Miss Gabot, MSGABOT on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel and it's called The Gabot Show. It's my last name, The Gabot Show. And I already put out an episode and a half. As you know, this requires a lot of work. So I'm just now working on all the interviews in the background. I have 10 done and I'm excited to be putting that out this fall. And it'll be fun. It's about people who have out of the ordinary jobs and things like that. And if you watch, you get to watch the interview with our cult or movement follower.
Right.
On the show. So that's pretty much it. Have a great rest of summer.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back with another one soon. Don't forget, this isn't the darkest timeline. It's just the dumbest one.
We're the dumbest one. Bye.